For the longest of times, I have praised Ronald Koeman. I have said that his inclusion in our club's career actually was going to bring more good things than bad. But today, I'm here to tell you guys that I am wrong. I was wrong, and I apologize for that, because I sold you some information, some perhaps opinions, that at the end of the day, long-term view, Koeman is certainly not the right guy. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today I have recollected plenty of reasons as to why Koeman should be sacked immediately. I think that at the moment of recording this video, the relationship between him and the fan base has reached a breaking point, and not only that, but his relationship with the dressing room and the board. And when you reach this sort of stalemate, the only solution really is to sack the manager, because as plenty of people say in football, that is the easiest thing to change. Barcelona are not gonna be renewing all of our players. They're not gonna be restarting a rebuild from nothing, because they cannot do that. It's easier to change one thing than plenty of variables. So I think that Ronald Koeman's time at Barcelona, it's down to an end. And the very first thing that you have to note is exactly that his relationship with the board is a very bad one. When you take a look at how Laporta came into the club, he always said that Ronald Koeman was not his manager of choice, and in fact he wanted to pursue Julian Nagelsmann before he went to Bayern Munich. But that door quickly closed, and now he was stuck with Ronald Koeman because of financial reasons, and because of the kind of turmoil that happened during his first few weeks at the presidency. Now it seems that Laporta, after a long time, he has actually taken to think he believes that Ronald Koeman no longer can be the choice. There was always this sort of dispute in that, and I believe that is the first thing that was wrong. You cannot have a manager and you cannot have a long-lasting project if all parties involved are not cooperating collectively. And if Laporta thinks that a new manager can do a job better, and Ronald Koeman doesn't feel backed by the board from the very first day actually his new boss came in, there is no point in continuing this relationship any longer. It's just really a toxic one. A lot of this toxic relationship sort of evolved and was clear for the fanbase to see through the plenty of press conferences and interviews that Ronald Koeman had. And this is where I make a second point, that Ronald Koeman has isolated himself completely from the dressing room and is more perhaps defending himself than the actual team. And I feel that if I was a player, I really wouldn't understand the approach that Ronald Koeman is taking. I feel that when you take a look at the last few press conferences, and for instance, at the moment of recording this video today in the morning, he quoted Louis van Gaal literally with his final press conference quote that was, "Hello, my good friends, the media, welcome." Something along those lines really doesn't make you feel confident about his position anymore. And perhaps not even running through his certain actions, like reading a public statement before the game against Levante, really make you wonder that, well, Ronald Koeman, it's really not in appeasement with the board and also the dressing room. He's taking his decisions more on his own. And like I said before, it's really like in Spanish how we say, está tratando de salvar su propio pellejo. He's really trying to save his own back and not the one of the club and the institution that he's representing, and that is very bad news. The next thing that evolves from this, of course, is the relationship with the players. We know that Ronald Koeman for the longest of times never really had a squad at his full disposal, a squad that he could say it was his own. He came to the club because of love for the institution, and I respect that. He's a hero for the history of this club, and nobody's gonna take that away from him. But when we actually start thinking about how he's treating those other players with the same respect, we can clearly say that he's not. Because when we take a look at the philosophies of this club, he's kind of sort of concave a little bit from his earlier statements. He said before taking over at Barcelona that even if he had to choose between an old player and a young one that could do the very same job and give the same sort of results, he was 100% always going to pick the young one. And I think that a lot of Barcelona fans are going to be disagreeing in that. When you take a look at how he has selected, for instance, Sergio Roberto in certain occasions, and maybe even Antoine Griezmann before last season, where he really didn't give you much in the earlier first half. And I feel that these sort of decisions really never made it easy for Koeman to maintain his job, because tactically, whenever he was trying to do a new change, he was always kind of go one step forward, two step backs, because he was never really doing things that are in appeasement with his philosophy. And that is where we have to talk a little bit about the philosophy. I think that a lot of what Barcelona fans are, well, attracted to the club by is because of that free-flowing style of football that Barcelona has always known for since the Cruyff era. Actually, the manager that put Ronald Koeman in the spotlight of this club career for the first time. And it's kind of a little bit interesting to see that he's stepping a little bit backwards from that. He's not really choosing to die with his own right in big games. Against Bayern Munich, against Juventus last season, against PSG, all of these sides that are big games in the Champions League, he was a lot more pragmatic. He thought that would make him actually make them a bigger candidate to try and win those games, and that is completely different from the reality of what Barcelona fans expect and what the crowd expects from this team. At Barcelona, you have a certain tactic, a certain philosophy that you have to follow through, and if you do not do that, well, you're always gonna have some people that are gonna be criticizing you because they want to go down with their own style of play. And I think that is where Koeman got it wrong. I think that playing a back three, a back five in these instances and not trying to die with what you do best, that is wrong because he's trying to adapt to that position. And you can do that. You can make certain tweaks but not change your entire team completely week in and week out because that makes zero sense. And that is where my next point arises. Ronald Koeman never really constituted a proper, consistent, cohesive side. He never managed to build a team that way because, of course, injuries are going to be hurting him, and that is something that fair play that's going to be hurting any manager. But when you take a look at the chances that he had, like for instance, just recently, the game against Levante was a step in the right direction, playing more youngsters. It worked out with Gavi in the midfield. And then to the next important game against Benfica, you restructure the team completely. You never give them a sort of consistency so that the players can adapt to their positions. And you always make them switch out and switch in so that no player knows in fact who's a starter and who's a bench player. You don't have this sense of competitiveness within the squad. It's like just the manager chooses whatever lineup he can come best for that game. And of course, that is kind of what you want, but in reality, in football's elite, you take a look at how the teams work, there's always some sense of consistency and unison in every single player in that side. There is chemistry, and he's not helping himself because he's not building a team that has that. Chemistry is the one thing that Barcelona is lacking, and you can tell yourself that every single day when you watch this team. When you witness what they can produce, it's almost nothing, and that is a result from bad chemistry that Koeman is not providing. And the last thing that I believe, of course, has hurt Koeman is one thing that, when you take a look in retrospect, is not as big as the other reasons that I have mentioned, but I feel that attacking certain players and having personal reasons with them to not play them in big games on certain occasions or not even give them minutes is something that many Barcelona fans don't really understand, and myself included. When you take a look at his relationship and treatment of someone like Riqui Puig or other youngsters, you really do not understand exactly where he's coming from. There were reports before that he leaked a formation to the media or something like that, and that of course made Koeman mad about Riqui Puig. But when we are looking at unbiasedly already 1 year into his tenure, you start to think that there's something more to it. And I believe that those sort of personal matters are some things that of course are going to be hurting Barcelona. When we take a look at Ronald Koeman and his rudimentary approach to pragmatic games and big games at that, I just feel that we have reached a top and limit. I think that Koeman has given Barcelona everything that he can, and now we have to look at new tacticians and new people to lead this project. I always said it from the very first day that Koeman came in. I thought that Koeman was going to be a good appointment, and I think that he has served his purpose. But if we want to reach the elite, if we want to get back to what Barcelona were before, that are those winning ways, we certainly do need somebody else at the helm. And that is where we have to talk about in our next video, of course, because the names that are at the front fold of this basically candidacy, like Pirlo, Roberto Martinez, maybe even more, are certainly not good ones. So what are we gonna do then? I guess that's a very big question that I'll answer soon enough. See you in the next one, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and yeah, bye bye, take care, ciao.